Console survival fans sick of DayZ and Rust, there is a new contender that might seriously be worth your time. DEADSIDE Stealth dropped out of nowhere on Xbox and PlayStation 5 earlier on this week. It's around $25, so work it out in your own currency. They do have some deluxe editions and skins, a bit like Rust does, that you can go and opt into if you really enjoy or like the game, and some sort of deluxe upgrade. I'm not too sure about that, and I'm not too sure if it's that worth it, but what I can tell you is what it's been like for PC in its lifetime over the last 4 or 5 years. Hey RATBAGGERS, it's Jade, giving you a deeper dive into DEADSIDE, hopefully today, but I am actually going to be playing it properly, giving you a first-hand experience on the Xbox Series X, and that will be on my second channel, Jade PG 2. I'm going to live stream more than likely on Sunday, so I'll put the link to it anyway down below if you want to check it out, or come and join me. Make sure you subscribe. That's where you're going to find pretty much games like Rust, like Dune Awakening, anything that's got a kind of PvP flavour to it in the future, it will be here. It's a really busy time at the moment. In fact, probably one of the worst times you could have released something like this. It's not maybe the same kind of game, but Monster Hunter Wilds has got millions upon millions of players playing it across PC and consoles right now. There is quite a bit of crossover between the average survival fan and that game, and so with that, plus other content updates that have gone live for DayZ, I think that DEADSIDE Stealth releasing out of nowhere probably wasn't the smartest move. But yes, you can go and see all the skins and stuff and go and check out the game. Like I said, it should be about $25 on Xbox and PlayStation. And no, it's not going to run on your dusty PS4 or your Xbox One. Sorry guys. You will of course need some sort of multiplayer subscription to go ahead and play, like PS Plus, the usual stuff with multiplayer, and there's no single player offline mode. Now I'd be lying if I've got hundreds of hours in the game. I checked it out when it first released and then realised that it was massively undercooked and needed a lot of work. It was also hot on the heels after other games like Scum, and I just felt like it wasn't maybe offering enough new. The premise is a map that you explore with bandits. No zombies, no mutants, but there will be other players in safe zones and PvP zones where you'll have to watch your back. It started out with a very small self-contained part of that map, but it has expanded over time, and they've also added things like base building to it. Although they've got a slew of updates incoming, to PC at least at first, and then hopefully be ported to Xbox and PlayStation, adding more stuff like building tiers, the kind of thing you have seen in games like Rust. And that's what DEADSIDE is to me. It's a mix of DayZ, a mix of Rust, because you can build actual full fleshed out structures, not just encampments or defense parts like DayZ, but it has got maybe that bit of simulation, more realistic take on gunplay and exploration that DayZ has compared to Rust. Most recent reviews are sitting at only 67%, but all-time score is 78% on Steam, so they called it that nearly an 8 out of 10. Although some more recent players are a little bit concerned, it seems, by certain updates breaking or just being buggy, or just being a bit too easy to be able to break into players' bases. Hence why maybe in future updates they are adding, like I said, brand new tiers. Also going to be adding a brand new map to explore too, and it's sold well enough over the years, maybe not huge, but enough that I reckon support for this game will carry on. It's not going to be something that's just going to be abandoned or necessarily a cash grab. But don't take my word for that. It is published by Tiny Build, and they've got a good reputation for bringing out a lot of these types of games. You might have realised that DEADSIDE has a very similar sounding name, pretty much published and helped out with some of the developers of DEADSIDE, I do believe, and to really ape that game where you have Rust and DayZ, but you're a duck. Yeah, go and check out some of the videos I've already done on that. So on console, there's going to be 3 types of servers. You have got PVE. If you don't like the idea of being raided by other players, then you can absolutely be a Care Bear and take on the might of bandits as you explore different zones and collect different loot from points of interest. They've got the typical PvP, and they've also got PvP but skirmish. So you won't be able to actually fully base raid, but you can still kill players out in the open. And of course, like I said, they've still got the PvP mode where you can go ahead and use C4 to break into players' bases and take all their loot. Now there is a small difference with PC. On PC they do have PvP scheduled raids, so small windows where you can then go ahead and raid people's bases. That looks to have been replaced by the skirmish mode, where effectively, yeah, like I said, you can shoot players out in the open and loot them, but you won't necessarily be able to go ahead and raid their bases. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You can secure your base with all sorts of turrets. There's lots of decoration to boost some of your stats when you're at home. Obviously food and the other survival mechanics are going to be important. join up, meet friends, use vehicles to get across the landscape quicker, and make sure you've got enough resources to build up a base or go ahead and buy a bunch of stuff from some of the PVE friendly zones. There's an absolute ton of different guns, over 32 firearms, loads of magazines, scopes, flashlights, silencers and other modules, and you can absolutely set up traps like tripwires. Respawn bags obviously will be in use smoke grenades for cover, and the system for combat is meant to be hardcore, so again that DayZ feeling. But it's also got mission system, so you'll be able to clearly mark out on the map what you want to go and do, maybe go and achieve, and maybe get some decent rewards. The game had consistent updates on PC, giving players lots of new content at various different times, and lots of bug fixing as you would expect. It did obviously go 1.0 last year, in fact not that long ago in December, so yeah, it's kind of interesting to see they've already got the ports done for Xbox and PlayStation. I don't know what it runs like right now, I've not booted it up, it's been incredibly busy for me covering other stuff. I'm keen to jump on. It's going to have 70 player server limits, I do believe, up to that on Xbox and PlayStation 2, so it should be fairly busy on the map and the world to come across players, although they are large maps. Some of this footage is really old, it is from like maybe the early access one, because it's the only one that I've most recently got, and I've wanted to go and check it out at various times, but point being, it just wasn't maybe making as big a waves as other games like Rust or DayZ. But you know what, there's always room for a new competitor. I'm sure some of you guys get sick of some of the jankiness and maybe the engine performance of DayZ, and in Rust on console, well, that could be the same if you're playing on older gen, but on newer gen there's still a few updates behind certain things, haven't got vehicles and stuff. So if you want to run around in a Jeep or get on a bike, you can absolutely do that. Obviously Scum is going to be on its way. I reckon that might be here by the end of the year on console, as they did say it would be launching pretty much either at the same time or just afterwards when it goes 1.0 on PC, and that's really coming towards it. So there is a bit of competition around. I think this game could potentially have a life. It's cheap enough. The skins are obviously optional to support if you like the look of the garish colours. Back to the gameplay itself, from various different reviews you can read on Steam, lots of players complain about the AI being like the best crack shots in the world, who can seemingly shoot you from literally miles away. But a lot of the good positive reviews are saying they actually really like the gunplay. It feels realistic and good and satisfying when you do pull off a good shot. The actual ballistics are pretty decent. You do get a personal stash that I think is pretty much unraidable, but that does mean that you might be able to put really expensive or high sought after items like C4 or explosives in it, so players won't necessarily be able to go ahead and grab all of your loot. That might sound good to you, but it's kind of negating what I think actually PvP games should have, really. There should be no way that you can hide or stash that kind of stuff, maybe a couple of guns at best. Maybe your coins as if it's a safe. But that's something I need to check out for myself rather than just read reviews like it was from February. And that's the benefit of games like these. There's absolutely no excuse for buying something and then realising actually it's a bit crap, because you can watch me check it out. You can go and read a billion reviews on PC. Apart from ignoring performance, because that will be different on console, you can still see whether or not the game plays for you based on them reviews. So once again, I'll give it a shot. I'll give you my honest opinion whether or not I think this could be a contender or just something nice to try compared to the other PvP games on console right now. And as always, I'll see you for the best in survival games, news, gameplay and guides. Bye bye.